We go track by track on Henry Gross's brand new album, Too Clever for My Own Good. I'm John Beaudin from Rock History Book. Henry Gross has been one of my favorite artists for many, many years. And of course it started maybe where it started for you, with Shannon and the Release album with Springtime Mama. A few years ago we reconnected, had a great, I think, 13-part interview series. But then I heard this. One of my favorite albums of the last 5 years. I don't do a lot of track by tracks anymore because we're flooded with interviews, but I really wanted to do this one. Not a bad song on this album. A lot of different flavors. We're going to talk to Henry Gross on Rock History Book. This is a freaking amazing album. I swear to God. After I finished listening to it, I know I already said some of this to you. After I finished listening to it, my first thought was, okay, you're not a young guy anymore. How can you come up with this shit? I'm serious.
Well, you know why? The reason I could come up with it is that I stopped trying to write for who I'm not to please a public that doesn't care about me anyway. So I decided to write songs for people that have lived a little, and not just write banal, childish songs. There are enough people doing Hallmark card type of writing. It's an industry, and it's a good industry because as Roger Cook once pointed out to me when I complained about his wanting to write songs like that, he said, well, there's always new people that haven't heard it. And I thought, yeah, but I have. So I'm not the guy for that. There are other people that, so I choose to see things. Well, as we go over the songs, you'll see, for me, my interest is to think of John Lennon's little button that said, "Be here now." And so I know I'm 69 years old now. It's, I don't want to be 69 running around on stage singing things like some of the famous rock stars that are really, embarrassing for 14-year-olds to be singing. Not all, but some. And I just thought, well, I want to write things that relate to people that have lived a little. And I understand that at radio, that's verboten, especially if you had a prior career. So should we give up and stop doing it, or should we stand for something and be our own unique view? People ask me, where does this come from? I said, well, it comes from an obvious place. When I was a kid, I wanted to be Elvis Presley and Tom Lehrer. And Tom Lehrer, for people that don't know, had a great album called That Was the Year That Was. And he was a Harvard professor that wrote songs about the Vatican and Werner von Braun and all this. And he was very funny. And I thought he was funny, but on a very high level.
Well, the title song starting off the album.
Too Clever for My Own Good. I have been accused of this. I had someone once say to me, your songs they're clever. They couldn't go with that. They want every song to bleed from the ears. They want every song to be the last apology or the get up to go or so. I love those songs. Heaven, I'll Be Listening. But if I wrote just albums full of that kind of stuff, I would have OD'd from hard drugs years ago. It's like very painful to cut to the bone. So, and I think humor, there's a lot of truth in humor. And being too clever, I've always tried, my thing is I'm always got the jokes and this and that. Try to be clever, like I said, to keep a positive attitude, I think of what my grandfather said. My grandfather said, when one door closes, another one opens. Of course, he was a terrible cabinet maker. But, it's like, yeah, all right, it's vaudeville, but it's funny. And the thing is, being clever it's a great escape from reality. As a believer, that when you laugh, you basically tell the Grim Reaper to F off. Yeah. So, you tell him, and he runs away, because humor and laughter is the enemy of surrender and death. It's a vote for life when you're laughing. You're just having fun and you're not thinking about all the things that are negative that could come into your mind. And so I've always tried to project that in my music, even if it bothers some people and they want to have nothing but, there's plenty of that out there. If you're looking for artists that look like they just got out of San Quentin, man, you'll get millions of them.
Too clever for my own good. Can't change my ways, though I know I should. I'll be old and lonely in all likelihood, 'cause I'm too clever for my own good. Yes, I'm too clever for my own good.
I Want a Woman. Strange, my son would. He said, every song's catchy. He says everything's catchy, but I Want a Woman's like that to me. And he had said that too. That little rock and roll meets country. I mean, tell me about that song.
Well, you think about it, it's sort of a cross to me between Buddy Holly, Tommy Rowe with Sheila, and a lyric for an adult. I want a woman wants to be my girl. Angel eyes like Elizabeth Taylor. Whispers sweet lies, swears like a sailor, makes great loving a regular thing. This joker wants a queen, makes me feel like a king. I want a queen, makes me feel like a king. That's how I feel about life. I know a lot of guys want to go with a teenager so they can be daddy and show somebody how the world is. But I've been happily married a long time. I like to be with a woman.
Angel eyes like Elizabeth Taylor, whispers sweet lies, swears like a sailor, makes great loving a regular thing. This joker wants a queen, makes me feel like a king. I want a queen, makes me feel like a king.
People write to me and go, I'm a big fan of yours. I love your song. Well, they heard Shannon, and they only know the hits. And that's the way it is. There wasn't an internet back then where you had to find an old album scratched up in a bin somewhere. And now you can hear everything clear as a bell on streaming services, or you can get a copy in order as it was intended on Spotify.
Bill Haley, won't you please come home?
I mean, that to me is an educational song.
By the way, let me interrupt you. Are you saying what I think you're saying, or is just by the title alone you'd go, bring us back to a better time? Or
yes, exactly. What I'm indicting the world for. Yes, Elvis Presley was a miracle. It's impossible to look like that. It's impossible to sing like that. It's impossible to move like that. It's impossible to do what he did in the Jailhouse Rock, going down the pole and the whole thing. This guy wasn't a trained. He was just he learned the gospel and the music he sang. Elvis's gospel records. I mean, this guy rolled it all into this impossible package that everyone could love in America. I mean, white people could love him, black people could love him, Asian people, everybody, Hispanics could love him. This guy had a magic. Okay, but Bill Haley started this with Rock Around the Clock when it got into the movie The Blackboard Jungle. It broke rock and roll in England. Skiffle died that day in 1956 when The Blackboard Jungle came out. Now, we didn't know that. But I was only like you say, I was born in 51, so I was 5-6 years old. But my sister was older and had these records, and I had a cousin that was 6 or 7 years older, cousin Susie, my little Susie, to go with Richie Valens. That's my little Susie. But she used to give me these 45s when she got sick of them. So I'd have Buddy Holly on Brunswick doing Oh Boy and all this. None of my friends knew these records, but I grew up on them. But Bill Haley is the most underrated guy. And in my song, I tried to use songs like the words like razzle dazzle. And of course, in America, we called Bill Haley's spit curl. But the British referred to that as a kiss curl, which I use because it's a much nicer expression. But I would really want people to know about Bill Haley. And I actually managed to get the song through Wolfman Jack's son, who manages Bill Haley's son, who just came out with a great book about his father. And and when he told me that Bill Haley Jr. liked it, well, I thought, oh, wow, that's something, Bill
Haley, won't you please come home? Rock and roll, nearly dead and gone. I'm praying for you daily, Bill Haley, won't you please come home? Love razzle dazzle, red hot licks, I need you here to get my fix, Bill Haley.
Driverless car ain't gonna get too far.
Driverless car. We grew up, and the song says everything that I wanted to say, and because when we grew up, it was see the USA in a Chevrolet. It was car culture. We had get your kicks on Route 66. That's what America was. It was the freedom of the car. Put the top down, put your arm around your girl, hit that accelerator. She's going to get all excited. And now we have people that want us to, be put in, just get in a car, have it drive us. They want to take all the power and freedom away from us. That's an indictment of what's going on by some mad people, some James Bond level villains that I think are out there. And so this driverless car, and I understand that people with sight issues and people with physical issues, for them, a driverless car is a positive thing because it will help them. And I am not indicting that. What I'm writing, driverless car, and my message in the song is that it is a metaphor for the freedoms being taken from us. And especially when I talk about, geeks gonna hack you, because you can be hacked. No thanks. I don't mind dying, but I want it to be my mistake.
If you're looking for action, sweet satisfaction, arrive in a classic Jaguar. Ain't no good loving, ain't no good nothing about riding in a driverless car. Ain't riding in a driverless car.
Very pretty tune to get up and go. When I first saw the title, I remember thinking, oh, that's a rock and driving song. But then I'm going, oh, I'm totally wrong about this.
Well,
another dog song. What the
That's
hell?
right. I'm the dog man. I do a lot. My heart is in animal rescue. I'm vegan. So the Get Up to Go is another song from your old dog lover, and it's another what I consider to be an honest, because I get very mushy around when I think about dogs and pets and horses and cats, because I love animals and I always have, and I think that to me that's as good a song as Shannon. Maybe melodically it's not quite as outrageously unique, but it's a beautiful record and it says a great thought.
You gave me the get up to go. How he did it, God only knows. Though his eyes were cloudy and he walked real slow, he gave me the get up to go.
So far, no good. Is that about an ex?
No, it is not, because I have been lucky in love. My first wife was an amazing woman, and she passed at 43 of lung cancer. And my Marilyn, who just walked in, is great. And I am a good friend, I think, with every woman I've ever loved. So I don't divorce people that I wasn't married to either.
Okay, but let me interrupt you. When I tell people, almost every ex I've got, except one, she was a big one, are friends of mine on Facebook. And people always come up to me and they go, well, that's weird. I'm going, why is that weird? I mean, I spent such important time with these people.
I have a line that I say, when you love them, you love them. How do you not love someone you love? You either love someone or you don't. And this falling out of love stuff, it's just nonsense. If you really felt a connection that was special, other than just a physical thing, that's something that you wanted, you needed in your life, why wouldn't you always need it in your life? Why wouldn't you always respect that opinion and want that person to be a part of your life? Well, I've never found that to be true.
So far no good. So far no good. So far no good. So far no good. Never do like you should. So far no good.
I'm not for everyone. Got a little twang in that one.
I'm not for everyone is absolutely the truth. I mean, this is this has saved me a fortune at a psychiatrist's office, on a psychiatrist's couch, because it's a little bit of me goes a long, long way. I'm a real handful, most people say. I got my opinions and I make them known. If you don't want to hear them, best leave me alone. I got my own take on this life, and I couldn't care less if you think I'm wrong or I'm right. I'm not for everyone. I may be vegan, but I love my guns. I stand my ground and face what comes. I'm not for everyone. The fact is, that song's the truth. There's something in me for everyone to hate. The people that are pro-vegan, that love me for being a vegan, they hate the fact that I love guns and the Second Amendment. And those people think I'm a soy boy. So there you go. I mean, everyone hates me. Ha, a little bit paranoid, Henry? Woody Allen said even paranoids have enemies. So it's a very honest song. And it's really about that. The song's really about something that I may have said to you in our first interview, is that you're no longer allowed to like this this particular point of view from the right and and this point of view from the left. And you can't, you can be an independent, but even as an independent, you've got to pick, King Solomon, which half do you want? Yeah. And so it's really messed up, because you should be able to stray from the herd without being culled from it. But you certainly can't with the way things are right now in America. And so this song, aside from being about, I'm talking about my neuroses because I know them firsthand. And why not be honest? And the reason the song is really getting to a lot of people is that when you write something that's real, that's not, written to fit a formula, but that is outrageous in its honesty, and that song is, because I really am politically incorrect.
I'm overbearing and I talk too much, a big curmudgeon as friendly as a crutch. I don't need to belong so bad, I'll throw in with a crowd gone mad. That some don't like me comes as no surprise. I don't see their approval as any kind of prize. I'm not for everyone. I may be vegan, but I love my guns. I stand my ground and face what comes. I'm not for everyone.
See, to me, indemnify sounds, the first time I heard that word, I just knew it as a legal term, right? But to me, that's a hit. That song's a hit.
Here's the deal. It's funny because I've had more people call me. Many people call it. My favorite song on the album is, and it's never the same song.
Really?
It's people have picked, now, 2 people have picked Indemnify out of the few hundred that have heard this so far, because it's just, it's going to take me years to get this circulated without a budget. And I'm at, only from the love of folks like yourself, that have taken the time to listen. But my wife's cousin, Nancy, is an amazing lawyer. She's brilliant. She was the chief litigator for Carl Icahn and the Sands Hotel in Vegas, and she's on the board of the jazz musicians with Wynton Marsalis in New York. She's really an amazing woman. She called me up. I love Indemnify. Well, of course, she's a lawyer. But here's the shocker, and this is kind of frightening. I've had five of my friends, they're in their 60s, ask me, what's Indemnify? And my answer to them is, you are the luckiest person I've ever met in my life to be in your 60s, and you've never heard the word indemnify. No one's ever chased you for anything. You've never signed a contract. So, to indemnify is basically to hold harmless. And, and it's great because there's a great story to this. I was at a conference that they have in Nashville. The girl that runs it was kind enough to invite me to this very expensive conference to go to, and it's all these promoters. And they were talking about things that they get sued for. People that promote, major companies, they get sued if their internet goes out and someone can't call their shrink and they're having an anxiety attack. They sue the promoter. You can't believe things that they need to indemnify themselves through insurance for. It's a litany of things you could not imagine, and I couldn't imagine. And so I went home and I thought, wait a minute, suppose you go out with someone. Don't you need to be indemnified before because this was during the Kavanaugh hearings. And I'm thinking to myself, what could be more essential? People say in the old days, when we were young, they said, well, make sure you bring a rubber, son, and now, don't bring a rubber, bring a lawyer.
You indemnify me, I'll indemnify you. You indemnify me, I'll indemnify you. Skip the he said, she said, cock-a-doodle-doo. Sign this paper and forever, come whatever, you will never be sued. You indemnify me, I'll indemnify you.
Someplace Safe, of all the things I got from our first chat, and it made me teary-eyed, and I know it made you teary-eyed when you were talking about your father in that baseball game. And on Someplace Safe, Daddy's Ring, that's something that's happened to everybody. What you're talking about there, well, when you're talking about the ring and putting it in a safe place and forgetting it.
Daddy's ring, I wore it for years and years, a little ring he had since he was a kid that his mother gave him. It had a little diamond, a tiny little diamond in the middle, and a couple little chips of sapphire on the side, and it was made of platinum. And it was just a beautiful antique 1920s ring. And I loved it. And so I kept it in the vault. I wore it for a while, and then it started to slip off my finger. I said, I'll put it in the vault. And I saw it one day, and I took it out, and I said, I'm going to wear this damn thing. What's the point of having it? It's just going to get hocked when I die. Didn't have it on for an hour and a half, and I lost it. And I thought, someplace safe. Let me think about that, because we all do this. How many times, I'm not going to go through the whole story. We've already done it. But how many times do you have something that you like, your favorite, I don't care, man, pen, tie clip, something, your favorite, and you don't want to lose it. Some book you love, and you put it somewhere where you don't normally keep it, because you don't want someone to pick it up accidentally and just borrow it, or put it somewhere you don't know. So you put it somewhere where you don't normally keep it, and you find it. They find it when you're dead. They find it. Look what Henry had buried in the back of, in a guitar case under 4 sets of strings was his dad's ring. And it's just, this is the way we are.
Someplace safe, now it's lost forevermore. Vanished, gone without a trace. Someplace safe, in a closet or a drawer. Only Sherlock Holmes could solve this case.
Sunlight so bright, it's fun, it's happy.
What that is a very autobiographical song for Roger Cook and I, who have both been clearly indicted and judged guilty for being lunatics in our younger days. And so that is, telling the sun basically to, go hide behind a cloud, which is English for something else we know what we mean.
Sunlight so bright, please won't you go away? I'm still dreaming, come back another day.
So, one of the best songs on the album. That's one of the best songs I've heard in years.
Just a heartfelt ballad. Roger and I, we always try, we always shoot for that. We always go for that. We get a lucky one every now and then, and So is just a song we were really feeling. I've been feeling, I'm sort of an anti-guy. If you yell at me enough that, anti-religion or anti-this, so then I start getting back to it. And so, as God is my witness is in the bridge, And so I sort of go where I don't like going with the crowd very much.
So you say whatever, nothing really matters. All your dreams are shattered, maybe mine are too. So the wind is howling, so you got your sorrow. You'll be here tomorrow, maybe I will too. When the sun comes to the shadows, as it will do, I'll be there for you. When the rainbows follow, you know, 'cause I told you so.
But on Me Too, I listen to that, I'm going, yeah, I do that too.
Well, don't you? But isn't that it? Aren't we all really, left, right, center, and all points in between? Don't we always want a piece of cake and there's nothing left but crumbs in the box? It's Rodney Dangerfield, Jack Benny. I relate things to comedy because comedy is the human heart, and Jack Benny said, I make jokes, I have a hook, I'm cheap, but he said to Rodney Dangerfield, you go to the soul of a man. And it's true. And he said, no respect, because that's it, and of course the opening line of the song was a quote that it was an old quote that was around for years and years, but I first heard it said by the inimitable George Gobel on The Tonight Show, when he said, George Gobel said to Johnny Carson, Johnny, do you ever feel the whole world's a tuxedo and you're a brown pair of shoes? And I never forgot that. And I thought, well, there's an opening line for a song. Yeah. And of course, we're in the Me Too generation. Having said that, the song, I think, is really honest in using those two things to put together a real truth that, no matter what life is everyone is sharing this same insanity on this planet.
Me too. Me too. Don't think it's only you. It's me too.
Like a little dance number, Rosalinda.
Rosalinda is there for two reasons. One is it's a song I always loved, and when I was doing this album, as I was 68, soon to be 69, I am more than well aware that I am on the 19th hole of life. You know, this is just life. I might live to 85. I might live another 2 hours, you know, especially being such an intense person as I am. I probably have some arterial issue, you know, so it's just, you don't have to be a genius to see who you are. You think about these things, and Rosalinda was a song I wrote with a friend of mine called Bucky Baxter. And Bucky and I, we were hanging around, and I had this thing going about, we go dancing at the Paragon, because there was always the Paragon ballrooms, in New York, where the Latin dancing went on. And I thought it was a great idea. So we wrote this song years and years ago, and I never recorded it. And I wouldn't have put it on this album, except that Santiago Rose made no sense. It just absolutely came out of nowhere as one of the great songs I think I've ever written. And it made no sense just to drop it in after Me Too. And I thought, well, I was trying to sequence the album, and I was having trouble sequencing it, and there was no place I could put Santiago Rose where it didn't feel like, why? And so I thought, what have I got in the pile? And I thought, Rosalinda, we never put that down. Now there's an up song with a Latin feel, with the castanets and the whole thing we put on there. And John and I went for it, and I think we nailed it.
Rosalinda, cut the lights down low. Take me where I wanna go. Rosalinda, got a quarter of rum, wanna rock with you until the morning comes. I wanna do it till it's done. Whoa.
Everybody knows Santiago Rose is the one I'd love to be loving. She's that girl sitting in school going out with the guy on a football team, and you're never going to be there, man.
I had a writing teacher once tell me, he says, be a Judge Judy. I said, what? He says, he doesn't want to know. Well, he said, she said, no. I want to know what you, how you feel.
That's right.
No hearsay,
Give me your judgment.
Yes.
That's what you're saying. That's what I want. Yeah. I don't like those songs that, there's a little old man and a little old house with a little old cat and a little old, it's okay, but it's never going to be as the same. It's never going to be, come on, let me show you where it's at. Come on, let me show you where it's at. Come on, let me show you where it's at. The name of the place, I like it like that. It's never going to be that. Let me show you where it's at,
She brings her tears to me, the ones no one can see, the ones she hides behind her charms. She lets me talk her down from ledges to the ground. When will she fall into my arms? Santiago Rose, if she calls my name, be it night or day, I do come running to the rescue. If I'm being used, drowning in her blues, it's the life I choose to hold on to.
Well, I'll never listen to Fooled Around and Fell in Love the same way again.
You know a guy that didn't have the greatest love-making session with his beloved and not go, just die? I mean, what did Richard Pryor say? I put her ass to sleep, I'm macho man. That's the sign of, What do you want women to say about me? He put me to sleep.
'Cause I fooled around and fell asleep. I knew I wasn't earning my keep. While they were making whoopee, I was busy counting sheep. 'Cause I fooled around and fell asleep.
The failing is mutual, is that who's ever had any success that hasn't failed 50 times? Who hasn't been, laughed at by an audience? There's a great line in a movie called A Very Good Year. It's with, what's the name of the guy from Gladiator? Russell Crowe. Mm-hmm. It's Russell Crowe and that is Cotillard, that French woman Cotillard. She's absolutely could be the most beautiful woman ever lived. Her last name is Cotillard, and she's in the movie with Russell Crowe. And she, this woman is,
Marianne,
Marianne. Who created this woman? I'm pissed off that he only made one of them. It's unfair. A woman shows up like this to make other women irrelevant in the looks department. She's like an Elvis Presley of women. And so I'm watching this movie, and there's a great line by what's his name from Tom Jones, Albert Finney. So he says to his grandson, he says, "You must always be grateful of losing." He says, "It's noble to lose. Just don't make a habit of it."
The failing is mutual. The failing is mutual. The failing is mutual. But together we can find success. Together we can be the best.
The Last Apology.
I wrote it. I don't say I wrote it. I don't say I wrote any of these in the sense that I've told you before. If I were smart enough to write them, I'd already have another 10 of them. The Last Apology I wrote in 2 minutes. I don't know what it was about. I don't know who I'm talking to. I got behind the idea of someone who was guilty of the worst stuff in the world and was tired of over and over apologizing for it. Sometimes if you apologize too much, like anything else in life, it doesn't matter anymore. And so I'm saying, this is the last time I'm going to tell you I'm sorry. I don't have any more in me to tell you I'm sorry.
I can't turn back the hands of time. If I could, I would. You'd be mine. I can't make the truth be kind.
Make sure you comment on our videos, subscribe to our channel, and share our videos. I'm John Beaudin from Rock History Book.